Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt drained, as though you've poured your heart and soul into someone who couldn't care less? If you have, you're not alone. But let me tell you this, your emotions are not charity to be handed out to people who don't value them. Life is too short, and your energy is too precious to waste on people who don't respect you. Emotions are powerful. They can move mountains, heal hearts, and build bridges. But if you let the wrong people drain you, you'll have nothing left for the ones who truly deserve your love, your time, and your presence. First and foremost, respect yourself. Self-respect is the foundation for every relationship in your life. Think about it. If you don't respect yourself, how can you expect others to respect you? If you tolerate disrespect, you give others permission to treat you poorly. Let's talk about recognizing toxic relationships. These are the people who take and take but never give. They dismiss your feelings, make you feel small, and demand your attention without offering even an ounce of appreciation in return. You can't save someone who's drowning if they're pulling you under with them. Now, I'm not saying you should build walls so high that no one can climb over them, but you must learn to set boundaries. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out, it's about deciding who gets the privilege of being let in. Boundaries protect your emotional well-being, your time, and your peace. And let me tell you, peace is priceless. Let's talk about respect versus validation. Too often, we chase validation from people who don't even matter. We bend over backward for a pat on the back, a kind word, or some recognition. But real connections aren't built on validation, they're built on respect. Respect is steady. It's mutual. It's the glue that holds meaningful relationships together. So here's my challenge to you: value your emotions like you value your money, your time, and your energy. Don't give them away for free. Invest them in people who uplift you, respect you, and cherish you for who you are. Now, I want to talk about this in detail. Emotions are among the most profound and powerful resources we possess as human beings. They shape how we experience the world, how we connect with others, and how we make decisions. But what many fail to realize is that our emotional energy is not infinite, it's a limited resource. Just like time and money, it requires conscious management to ensure it's used wisely and effectively. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, you start your day with a reserve of emotional energy. Each interaction, decision, or challenge you face throughout the day draws from this reservoir. If you spend that energy recklessly on people who don't appreciate you, on conflicts that don't matter, or on worrying about things beyond your control, you'll find yourself emotionally drained. And when you're drained, you're left with little to give to the things and people that truly matter. Emotional energy is a key driver of our productivity, creativity, and relationships. When we feel positive, energized, and respected, we can focus on our goals, connect meaningfully with others, and tackle challenges with resilience. On the other hand, negative emotions like frustration, anger, or sadness can sap our strength and cloud our judgment. This is why it's essential to recognize the importance of protecting and nurturing your emotional well-being. One of the first steps to valuing your emotional energy is understanding its worth. Many of us undervalue our emotions, thinking they are secondary to tangible assets like money or time. But here's the truth: your emotional state directly impacts your ability to make the most of those assets. For example, you might have all the time in the world, but if you're emotionally exhausted, you won't have the clarity or motivation to use it productively. Similarly, even if you have financial resources, a lack of emotional stability can lead to poor decisions that squander those resources. Protecting your emotional energy starts with discernment, deciding who and what deserves your attention. Not every problem requires your involvement, and not every person deserves a front row seat in your life. It's essential to differentiate between meaningful emotional investments and those that yield no return. For instance, consider the people in your life. Are they lifting you up, supporting your growth, and respecting your boundaries? Or are they constantly draining you, leaving you feeling unappreciated and undervalued? Equally important is learning to let go of situations that are beyond your control. Worrying excessively about things you can't change consumes emotional energy that could be better spent on areas where you can make a difference. Practicing mindfulness, gratitude, and self-compassion can help you redirect your focus to what truly matters. Recognize that valuing your emotional energy is not selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. By prioritizing your emotional well-being, you'll have more to give to those who genuinely deserve it. Remember, when you honor your emotional energy, you empower yourself to live a more balanced, fulfilling, and purposeful life. Self-respect is the cornerstone of a healthy, fulfilling life. It defines how you perceive yourself and, in turn, how others perceive and treat you. When you respect yourself, you set the tone for the relationships, opportunities, and boundaries in your life. It's not just an internal compass, it's a loud, clear statement to the world about your worth and the standards you uphold. At its core, self-respect means valuing yourself, your emotions, and your boundaries. It's about recognizing your intrinsic worth, independent of external validation or achievements. Too often, people tie their sense of self-worth to what others think of them. They rely on compliments, approval, or attention to feel good about themselves. But self-respect isn't about waiting for the world to tell you you're valuable, it's about knowing it for yourself. The foundation of self-respect begins with how you treat yourself. Do you honor your commitments to yourself the way you honor commitments to others? Do you speak to yourself with kindness, or are you overly critical and harsh? Self-respect means treating yourself with the same compassion and understanding you'd extend to a dear friend. It's about being your own advocate, standing up for your needs, and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. One of the most significant benefits of self-respect is the clarity it provides in relationships. When you respect yourself, you naturally attract people who value and appreciate you. On the flip side, self-respect helps you recognize when someone's behavior is unacceptable, enabling you to distance yourself from relationships that are unhealthy or toxic. Without self-respect, it's easy to fall into patterns of seeking approval, tolerating disrespect, or overextending yourself to please others. Boundaries are a critical component of self-respect. They are the lines you draw to protect your emotional well-being, time, and energy. Establishing boundaries doesn't make you difficult or unkind, it shows that you have a healthy regard for yourself and your needs. For example, if someone consistently disrespects your time, self-respect empowers you to communicate your limits and, if necessary, walk away from that relationship. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love that safeguards your peace of mind and emotional energy. Another aspect of self-respect is accountability. Respecting yourself means taking responsibility for your actions and choices. It's about being honest with yourself, learning from your mistakes, and striving to grow. Self-respect isn't about perfection, it's about progress and integrity. When you hold yourself accountable, you build trust and confidence in your abilities, which strengthens your self-esteem. Cultivating self-respect is not an overnight process, it's a lifelong practice. It requires self-awareness, courage, and a commitment to prioritize your well-being. Start by acknowledging your worth, setting realistic expectations for yourself, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. Remember, when you respect yourself, you set a powerful example for others to follow. You teach them how to treat you, and you create a life that reflects your values and aspirations. Self-respect is the foundation of not just healthy relationships, but a healthy relationship with yourself, and that is the key to true happiness and fulfillment. Recognizing toxic relationships is one of the most crucial skills for protecting your emotional well-being. Toxic relationships can exist in any area of life, be it romantic partnerships, friendships, family dynamics, or professional connections. These relationships are characterized by behaviors, patterns, or environments that drain your energy, erode your self-esteem, and create unnecessary stress. Learning to identify and address these relationships is a vital step toward living a healthier and more balanced life. The first hallmark of a toxic relationship is a lack of respect. This can manifest in dismissive attitudes, belittling comments, or an unwillingness to consider your feelings and opinions. People in toxic relationships often find themselves constantly compromising their own needs and values to accommodate the other person. Over time, this erodes self-worth and creates an imbalance where one person's desires consistently take precedence over the other's well-being. Another key sign of a toxic relationship is manipulation. Toxic individuals often use guilt, fear, or control to get what they want. They may twist your words, make you doubt yourself, or create an environment where you feel responsible for their happiness. This kind of emotional manipulation can leave you feeling confused, anxious, and trapped. If you frequently feel like you're walking on eggshells around someone, it's a red flag that the relationship may be toxic. Toxic relationships are also marked by consistent negativity. This doesn't mean every argument or conflict is a sign of toxicity. Disagreements are normal in healthy relationships. However, if a relationship is dominated by criticism, blame, or hostility, it becomes emotionally exhausting. Instead of uplifting and supporting each other, both parties may become locked in a cycle of resentment and unhappiness. One of the most damaging aspects of toxic relationships is the way they undermine your sense of self. Toxic individuals often project their insecurities onto others, making you question your abilities, decisions, or worth. Over time, this can lead to feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. It's essential to recognize when someone's behavior is affecting your mental and emotional health. Recognizing toxic relationships also requires self-awareness. Ask yourself, how do I feel after spending time with this person? Am I constantly drained, anxious, or upset? Healthy relationships should leave you feeling supported, valued, and respected. If you consistently feel worse after interacting with someone, it's a strong indication that the relationship may be unhealthy. Addressing a toxic relationship isn't easy, especially if the person involved is someone you care about deeply. Start by setting boundaries and communicating your feelings honestly. For example, if a friend is constantly critical, let them know how their behavior affects you and what changes you need to see. In some cases, the relationship may improve with effort and mutual understanding. However, if the toxicity persists despite your efforts, it may be necessary to distance yourself or end the relationship entirely. Remember, you deserve relationships that nourish your growth and happiness. Letting go of toxic connections is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-preservation. By removing toxicity from your life, you make space for healthy, meaningful relationships that respect and uplift you. Recognizing toxic relationships is a step toward reclaiming your emotional energy and living a life aligned with your values and self-worth. Boundaries are a fundamental aspect of maintaining emotional well-being and fostering healthy relationships. They are the invisible lines that define what you are comfortable with and what you are not, signaling to others how you expect to be treated. While setting boundaries might seem daunting at first, especially if you are used to prioritizing others over yourself, it is a powerful and necessary act of self-respect. Boundaries are not about keeping people out, they are about letting the right people in while protecting your peace, time, and energy. At their core, boundaries empower you to take control of your life. They allow you to prioritize your needs and values without guilt or fear of judgment. Often, people confuse setting boundaries with being selfish, but the reality is quite the opposite. Boundaries are a way of communicating that you value yourself and your relationships enough to ensure they are healthy and sustainable. Without boundaries, you may find yourself overcommitted, resentful, or emotionally exhausted from trying to meet everyone else's expectations. One of the first steps in harnessing the power of boundaries is understanding your limits. What are the behaviors, actions, or situations that make you uncomfortable? What drains your energy or causes you stress? Self-awareness is key to recognizing where you need to draw the line. For instance, you may realize that constant interruptions during your personal time leave you feeling frustrated and undervalued. By setting a boundary, such as communicating that your evenings are reserved for relaxation or family, you take proactive steps to protect your mental and emotional space. Communicating boundaries is equally important. It's not enough to know your limits, you must also express them clearly and assertively. For example, if a colleague frequently overburdens you with tasks outside your responsibilities, you can say, "I appreciate your trust in my abilities, but I have my own priorities to focus on right now. I can't take on additional work at the moment." Notice that this communication is respectful yet firm, emphasizing your limits without being confrontational. Boundaries also help to strengthen relationships. While it may feel uncomfortable to set limits with people you care about, doing so ensures that your relationships are based on mutual respect and understanding. A lack of boundaries often leads to resentment, as one person feels taken advantage of while the other remains unaware of the issue. By expressing your needs, you give others the opportunity to respect your boundaries and adjust their behavior. Healthy relationships thrive on this kind of open, honest communication. It's important to remember that enforcing boundaries is an ongoing process. Some people may push back against your limits, either out of habit or because they benefit from you not having any. Stand firm. Upholding your boundaries teaches others how to treat you and reinforces your commitment to self-respect. Boundaries free you from the weight of trying to please everyone. They create a sense of balance in your life, ensuring that your energy is spent on people and activities that align with your values. When you set boundaries, you reclaim your power, protect your peace, and create a life that honors your needs. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to healthier relationships and a more fulfilling life. In a world increasingly driven by external validation, likes on social media, compliments from others, or recognition at work, it's easy to forget the importance of respect, especially self-respect. Validation feels good in the moment, but it's fleeting and often superficial. Respect, on the other hand, is deep, enduring, and rooted in genuine understanding and appreciation. Choosing respect over validation is a transformative mindset that not only strengthens your relationships, but also enhances your sense of self-worth. Validation is external. It relies on others' opinions, approval, and acknowledgement to make you feel good about yourself. While it's natural to seek some level of validation, especially in our formative years, basing your self-esteem entirely on what others think is a fragile foundation. A compliment can lift you up, but a criticism or even indifference can bring you crashing down. If you're constantly chasing validation, you're giving away your power, letting others dictate your worth. Respect, in contrast, is internal and relational. It starts with self-respect, valuing your beliefs, choices, and boundaries, and extends to your interactions with others. When you prioritize respect, you cultivate relationships built on mutual understanding and authenticity. Unlike validation, which often stems from a desire to be liked, respect is rooted in being true to yourself and expecting the same from others. One of the key differences between respect and validation lies in their impact on your personal growth. Validation often encourages conformity. You might find yourself saying or doing things just to fit in or please others, even if it goes against your values or desires. Respect, on the other hand, fosters authenticity. When you value respect, you focus on being the best version of yourself, not the version others expect you to be. This commitment to authenticity creates a foundation for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Choosing respect over validation also empowers you to set higher standards for your connections. When you seek respect, you surround yourself with people who value your opinions, honor your boundaries, and support your growth. These relationships are reciprocal, where both parties uplift and challenge each other in healthy ways. On the other hand, relationships built on validation often become one-sided, with one person seeking constant approval while the other holds the power to grant or withhold it. The journey to choosing respect over validation begins with self-awareness. Reflect on your interactions and motivations. Are you acting out of a desire to be liked, or are you staying true to your values? For instance, if you agree to something you're uncomfortable with just to avoid conflict or gain approval, you're prioritizing validation over respect. In such moments, remind yourself of your worth and make choices that align with your principles. Developing the courage to prioritize respect requires practice and patience. You may face resistance from those who are used to you seeking their validation, but stay firm. When you prioritize respect, you teach others how to treat you. Over time, this shift will attract people who value you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Choosing respect over validation helps you build a more grounded sense of self. You learn to rely less on external praise and more on your internal compass. This shift not only makes you more resilient to criticism, but also frees you from the constant need to seek approval. It's liberating to realize that your worth isn't determined by how many people like you, but by the respect you command both from yourself and others. Remember, validation is momentary, but respect is lasting. Choose respect, and you'll find yourself surrounded by genuine connections and a stronger sense of self-worth. Respect is not just something you seek, it's something you embody, and in doing so, you set the standard for the life and relationships you deserve. In life, your emotions, energy, and self-respect are among your most valuable treasures. Protect them fiercely because how you treat yourself sets the precedent for how others will treat you. By valuing your emotional energy, you ensure it is spent on people and pursuits that truly matter. By embracing self-respect as your foundation, you establish unwavering standards for your life and relationships. By recognizing toxic connections, you free yourself from cycles that diminish your potential. By setting boundaries, you preserve your peace and create space for growth. And by choosing respect over fleeting validation, you build relationships grounded in authenticity and mutual regard. These principles are not just ideas, they are tools for empowerment. Together, they remind you of this simple truth: you are the guardian of your worth. When you honor your emotions, respect yourself, and demand the same from others, you align your life with dignity and purpose. You're not just existing, you're thriving, surrounded by relationships that uplift, encourage, and reflect your true value. So as you move forward, remember this: save your emotions, your time, and your energy for those who respect you, and in doing so, you'll teach the world to cherish what you have to offer. Respect is the language of a life well lived. Speak it fluently, and watch how your world transforms.